looking at what's working and what students really need and what districts need. So we currently have the programs that Karen's got up on the screen right now. And Kelly, art, we have through an undergraduate, or what we call a licensure path, and then we have a graduate path, which leads to an MAT. And I'm similar age, and I would agree. You got your life experiences, so you picked the licensure pathway that would fit you best. As an undergraduate, I went through a traditional art ed program before I started teaching, and so that would use those courses you probably have in design and art history, or maybe art studio. But you would do your education components with UNCP. The graduate pathway leads to a Master of Arts in Teaching, but also that same initial licensure. And the difference would be that the licensure only path is good in North Carolina. You apply for your license once you finish your credits and your licensure requirements. But if you, for instance, moved to Virginia, that licensure may not be reciprocal because it was a pathway in Carolina and not a degree program. The graduate degree you would take with you. You would get a degree completed transcript and another piece of paper for that wall at home, probably. They are typically very similar in hours, but what happens with the licensure pathway is the coordinator examines your transcripts to find out what is already been completed and what needs to be completed. So we're at the graduate level, we can say they're all 30 hours, they're 9 courses, and an internship. The licensure pathway is individualized depending on what you've already completed. You apply through UNCP's portals that are listed there, and thanks. And
sorry,
go ahead, Karen.
I didn't mean to advance. I can go back if needed.
That's okay, this is good. So I think I just talked a little bit about this. We have a common core, which that's not a great word to use, but a residency core maybe across all programs to start your education components. And then you use whatever you have in your either undergraduate program, or you take those at the graduate level to complete the MAT. So the courses listed there on the right are Basic Tenets as an Introduction to Education course. That gets you started, and Dr. Granger teaches that class and can provide more information. EDN 5120 is Advanced Studies of Exceptional Children, so talking about special education and gifted students and meeting the needs of individualized education plans. EDN 5450, Dr. Hunt teaches, and so if you have a chance to see her in one of these chat rooms today, talk about curriculum design and best practices for teaching. And so then if you come in through the licensure only pathway, you would take the last course there, Advanced Classroom Management. If you come through the MAT route at Art, Kelly, you would not take the Advanced Classroom Management. So it really depends on the program. And then the course almost at the bottom, Field Experience, is taken every semester. And you would do those assignments at West Hope Middle School unless there was an outside assignment, but we have to provide documentation that you've completed Field Experience. So we do that through a 0 credit course, like a co-requisite. All of those courses are the same across programs. So Dr. Granger has probably, 25 students right now in a variety of different licensure areas. And that's one of I think the best parts about our program is you get to learn from each other and work as a diverse group in these courses. Then after you complete those 3 or 4 courses, focus on your content area. So for art example, art methods is going to be teaching practices you would use, and Dr. Grant teaches that class right now over in the art department. You may need other art history components or studio components that you didn't have before. And then lastly, everyone does an internship. So on the left-hand side is something called EdTPA. And Karen, do you introduce that in 5040?
Yep, we talk about it in 5040. We do some videoing that might help prep students to think about that video piece and EdTPA, and we certainly think about reflection.
And so those 3 components are really across, I think, all of those MAT core courses. And then specifically in your content area, I know Dr. Grant works with the art students to prepare them. And then in the internship, you complete this requirement for licensure called EdTPA and submit it for assessment. So I guess, Kelly, what questions can we answer for you about your program, or Marquise? I think we just lost Marquise. What other issues or concerns may you have?
Hey, I have a really like strange start.
Okay.
So I was actually hired a few weeks after school started in September and last year, and I only worked for about a month, and then I was in a car accident which actually broke my back, and I was at UNC Chapel Hill for a few weeks before coming home, and was unable to return to work until January. And so then I started back in January, and just as soon as I started back, it seems like a month and a half later, COVID happened. So I kind of was out of the frying pan into the fryer. I just started getting used to the kids, started getting used to being in the classroom, and then all of a sudden it was, hey, now you've got to try to do all this, but do it from remote learning. So I guess my question is, I mean, I know technically this was my first year, but what do I do? Because I feel like I lost an entire year because I wasn't allowed to work for those 4 months from October through January, and I couldn't do anything. And so I feel like I'm a year behind now in the residency program.
So, Kelly, do you know were you brought in on a residency license back in September, or
Yeah,
emergency
like,
license?
yeah, well, I don't have a license, but through the residency program, like that was the whole, I guess the whole deal, like,
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
the new
they
term
would,
for, instead of lateral entry, they call them residency.
yeah.
It's like a kind of a first year license called an emergency license, and it gives people a year to kind of find a program. And
Hmm.
since you were brought in after the start of school, that would be something to help. Let's see, Donna Thomas, is she still in Hope County?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, check with Donna about what kind of license you have. But regardless, because of COVID, the State Department extended everybody's license, even mine and Dr. Granger's or whoever was expiring this year. Everyone was extended a year, so no one's license is going to expire next week.
Mhm.
Having said that, we are processing residency licensure forms. I know like Cumberland County has sent some recently. And so they are documenting students that took classes and are, going into their second year of residency licensure. So you have
Mhm.
3 years to complete whatever the licensure components, but I don't think this year will be held against you anyway. Um,
I hope not,
so
because they wouldn't let me take any classes.
yeah. So you didn't take any classes this year or affiliate with a program, is that right?
No, they wouldn't let me because of being out, being hurt.
Okay.
So,
Um, so yeah, you might want to do some investigating this summer. And it really depends on what's on your transcripts from before. There, like I said, the art program here at Pembroke has two options. We have an undergraduate pathway, and we're an NC Promise school. So undergraduate tuition is $500 a semester. And it would, kind of be up to you about if that's the path you want to take, or if you want the graduate degree. Other programs across the state vary, and so I'll tell you, like ECU's program is less hours than ours. They have a 6 course, I think it is 24 hours. Is that right, Karen? That you take like 2 in the summer, 2 in the fall, and 2 in the spring, and you finish in a year. Your program could be that short with the undergraduate. We just have to look at your transcripts before we can develop a plan. At the graduate level, that MAT is 9 courses and the internship. So that probably takes another semester or two. And so I would, recommend a year and a half to 2 years. But certainly you can easily get your licensure finished within that time. So if you are on an emergency license this year, that it's no fault to anyone, and that is going to probably be fine. But you could go ahead and roll over to a residency license, talk to Dr. Thomas, and then what you would do is you would need to affiliate with a university, or what we call an EPP, an educator preparation program, to develop that plan for your license.
that sounds great.
Okay. Yeah, so if you want to email me, it's lisa.mitchell, or I think it's on the slides, isn't it, Karen? at uncp.edu, and I'd be glad to help get you connected with Dr. Grant and talk about, what program might best fit your needs. Summer 2 does start, I think it's July 1st, which would be a push to start class next week. So you may just want to wait and start in the fall, since if you're not on a big rush.
So for art, if I'm hearing you, Dr. Mitchell, you can go through in terms of the application process. It would be an undergrad application if you're just doing the licensure only, or the grad if you're doing the MAT.
Yeah, I think that was back maybe 1 or 2 slides. And so, before you apply, Kelly, you may want to talk to email me so we can get you connected with Dr. Grant, because I wouldn't want you to apply one way and need to switch to the other. For example, if you submit a graduate application but end up going the undergraduate route, you would have to, go through and do the other system. So probably better to start with an email just so we can figure out what's the best path first and then apply. But Dr. Grant is great about, she's working over the summer, and she usually gets those plans created pretty quickly.
That sounds awesome, and I will definitely be in touch.
Good. Well, and like Dr. Granger said, we're both former art teachers, and she taught middle school. I did middle school for 1 year, and then went right back to elementary school. But yeah, we'd both be glad to, well, I don't want to speak for Dr. Granger. I would be glad to stop by Hope County anytime.
I would echo Dr. Mitchell. I loved being in the classroom. I really love my middle school people. Yeah, teaching art was really good. I mean, I love what I do now, but certainly I love being in the classroom.
Did for remote learning, Kelly, did you have to use like a platform to teach art, like Google or Canvas?
We were using just Google Classroom at first, and now they've changed that over to where we're going to be doing Canvas this semester, if that's what we go back to, which from what I'm understanding, from what I've studied and looked at it already a little bit, Canvas seems like it's going to be a much better tool, especially for art. Google Classroom was a little difficult, and trying to make sure that the kids, as you can imagine, if we don't have it in the school, there's a 90% probability that they don't have it at home.
Yeah.
So if I don't have markers, they don't have markers. So at least with Canvas, the tools are there so that can do a little bit wider of array of things.
Yeah, I agree. We use Canvas here at Pembroke. So yeah, let me know if there's anything I can do to help.
So Kelly, any other questions for Dr. Mitchell? I know she is our expert on residency. I just want to I'll talk a little bit about test taking strategies, but any other questions about residency?
No, I don't think so. I think that actually I got more information in this little bit of time from you guys with residency than I have all year, just because of the circumstances. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, well, it sounds like it was a win for us just having you all to ourselves.
And before, I guess, or as you transition to testing, I'll tell you that Dr. Grant and I worked collaboratively this semester on Praxis Ii Prep. Have you already taken the Praxis II by any chance, Kelly?
I haven't taken anything. I don't even know, like I said, I don't even know what classes that I might have to take yet.
Okay.
Like they haven't even gotten that far, just because just as soon as we were about to get that far, COVID happened.
Yeah. And so, yeah, the art Praxis too is they were offering other ones online, but that has been one, I think, because of the creating part or something, they're not doing it at home as far as I know right now. And so we've been just meeting with students to support them and, kind of do some test taking skills too. So once you email me, I'll get you connected with her for that as well.
Kelly, will you put your email address in the chat box?
Sure, I can do that.
Okay.
That'd be awesome.
And I can text Naomi if you want her to jump on, Karen. I don't know, how long is your breakout session?
We're here till 10:20.
Okay, let me text her real quick and see if she can.
That'd be awesome. Oh, great. I see it. So that way Dr. Mitchell will have it and I'll have it and we can share it with Dr. Grant if she is unable to jump on. So you've got both. Awesome. So Kelly, talk a little bit about like, what are your test taking? Like, what have your experiences been with test taking? Are you?
I've actually always been a really good test taker. I've always been one of those people that, you know, last minute studier kind of a person. I retain everything and I usually have to just do a quick glance over to get it fresh back in my head. But after that, it's usually right there. Or like once I read the question, done. You know, like I'm like, oh, it like clicks something in my head and I know exactly where I'm supposed to be. The only thing that I've never been good at is math. And so I was dyslexic as a kid, so I always had trouble with my numbers, and it got me so frustrated that I never wanted to do anything with math. But other than that, I've always been pretty good with testing.
Well, good. Well, luckily with the Praxis II for art, I would think that math you wouldn't have to worry. You wouldn't have to worry about. So that's a good thing. I know a lot of our students really struggle. You know, it's the anxiety kind of the unknown. So that preparation piece is key. This is a great Mentimeter. It's just a little survey where if there were more of us in the session, you would have a chance to kind of highlight or give a few words about what your test anxieties were, or in your case, maybe were not. Maybe, you know, you don't really struggle with kind of being anxious about what the test looks like or how to respond to the prompts. And I think a lot of that comes from just being prepared. When we work with our traditional undergrad students, it really is just being confident, preparing for the test, thinking about what to bring, what to leave at home. This is in the fall, I took Praxis Core so that I could adequately talk about test taking with our undergrads. And it's simple things as sort of knowing where you're going, knowing the directions, your admission ticket, identification, just thinking about time for taking the test and really feeling prepared, not just for content, but for peace of mind. And I know that in the kind of challenges of COVID-19, a lot of this is on hold. But really thinking about, do you have a study plan? That's something that I encourage folks about, is kind of creating a study plan. So this is the link here that comes from ETS. You could create your own Word document that would allow you to have a plan for what you're doing, how you're studying, what it is that you need to focus on in terms of the content for your examination, and then just how are you finding the resources. I think for some of our students, especially those of you who are residents, you're teaching full time, you're managing a lot of other responsibilities, and you're ready to study, but it really is, how do I find the resources that I need to adequately, you know, prepare for these particular exams. Oh, so Dr. Grant, it looks like, is jumping in, and Dr. Mitchell is going to leave for her next meeting. So thank you so much. We appreciate that. Let's see. So Kelly, this will be on the recording that's shared with you all at a later date. As soon as we can get the recordings uploaded, this will be there. But again, I guess just thinking about, you know, how are students preparing? How are they developing a plan? It certainly sounds like kind of a simple thing, but I think for a lot of our students, it's really thinking about, how do I study and how do I get prepared? These are some other links to particular test prep sites. The study guide zone I thought was a good one. It does require you to create a username and password. There is an art content knowledge on here. It provides a series of questions and overviews, but this was a good site that I found that I thought might be helpful for those folks taking Praxis II. There's also some additional materials at the ETS site, the educational testing service site, and then there are some Praxis exam courses that you can access to help you prep for Praxis II. And again, just kind of thinking about some strategies, kind of thinking about your content area. What is it that you need to focus on? Where are your strengths and weaknesses? Have you had a chance to take Praxis II? And if you have, maybe once you take it, if you're deficient in a particular area, can you create a study guide to address those weaknesses? Develop a schedule. As I said earlier, a lot of our folks who are residents are juggling multiple responsibilities, and so carving out that time to study can be really hard. If you affiliate with UNCP and Dr. Grant becomes your advisor, can she provide you with other students maybe who are in the residency program with the art specialization? Maybe you could have a study group, whether we're working online or working face-to-face. Sometimes having a study group, peers to help you talk through some of the items on the test can be of benefit. So as I see in the meeting box, I see that Dr. Grant is here. Welcome.
Hi, Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I am good. It's really nice to see your face.
You too. Are you having a good summer?
It's busy, but it's really good. I can't complain. I hope you are as well.
Yeah, it's been nice.
So, Dr. Grant, we are hosting a symposium today, and one of the breakout sessions was on residency and test-taking strategies. And we have one participant in our session. Her name is Kelly, and she, I'm going to let her introduce herself and talk a little bit about her situation, but she might be a potential candidate in the either art licensure program or in the MAT art specialization program.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so Kelly, I'm going to let you take it away for a few minutes.
Okay, hi, my name is Kelly Garrett.
Hi, Kelly.
Last year I had a crazy idea that at 50 I decided that I wanted to change my complete career and become an art teacher and be able to give back. So I had been for over 20 years a visual arts manager for Macy's, and then when I moved down here it was for Belk, doing window displays and so forth. And I have a interior design background as well. And so I've kind of tried to move into what used to be the lateral program and is now residency. When I started, it was 2 weeks after school started. So I started in September. And then a month later, after I had been just getting comfortable, I was in a car accident. And so then I was not allowed to work from October all the way through until January, until I was released. So then I came back, I worked for like a month and a half, and then COVID-19 happened. So I have about 3 months under my under my belt of like in classroom teaching, really, and then the rest has been remote learning on the fly.
Okay. So, so we have 2 programs in the art department for people in your situation. And one of the programs is the MAT program. That is a 30, and I don't know if I'm repeating myself because I just hopped on this call. One is the MAT program. That's a 30 credit program. And that gets you a master's degree. And the other one is just the licensure. So it will just allow you to teach in North Carolina and get your teaching license. What was your major in college?
My major in college was actually fashion merchandising with a minor in art. And,
okay.
So yeah, so that's where.
Okay. And where did you get your degree?
Davis and Elkins College in West Virginia.
Okay. So, so what we would do is, usually for the residency program, most of the students do have some sort of visual arts degree, if it's fashion design or graphic design or studio art or so on and so forth. And those students, there's certain requirements that the state has that you have to have 18 hours of art-related coursework. So for the residency program, that's an undergraduate program. And again, it's just licensure. What we do is we evaluate your transcript, and we have certain classes that we require. Some of them might be able to be waived, like some of the studio classes, since you have a degree in fashion and a minor in studio art. So it seems like those classes most likely would be waived. And then you would take a series of core education classes, those EDN classes, and then a couple art education classes. And then we kind of walk you through the licensure process. You have to create a portfolio, and we work with you through that. But you don't get a degree, you just get a certification. But for the MAT program, you would take, again, those core education classes, and then you would take master level art education classes. And that's something that you don't do through the residency program, because the classes that you're taking are more undergraduate education, art education classes. And so if you do the MAT program, that program probably would take, depending on how many classes you take during the semester, usually students take 1 to 2 classes each semester. That program usually takes 2.5 years. And just depending on how we evaluate your transcript, and how many classes you take each semester, the residency program probably would be a year and a half program. So, and I can email you the list of courses that we require for each program, if that would be helpful to you.
That would be great. I would really appreciate that.
Okay, let me grab a pen and I'll write down your email address. And as soon as we get off the call, I can email you both of the options.
Hey, Dr. Grant, Kelly dropped it in the chat box and I can just copy it and send it to you.
Oh, okay, perfect.
That's okay.
Yeah, because I don't see it.
What is the, you may have mentioned this, what is the application process for the licensure piece if I'm just doing licensure?
So what, I've had a number of students come in just for the licensure piece over the summer. So what I've been doing is I refer the students to Michelle Locklear, and she kind of will walk you through that application process through the School of, and she's housed in the School of Education. So there's some paperwork, and you have to get a letter and a form signed by your school. But for the licensure only program, you apply as an undergraduate through the university. So, and when you do the MAT program, you apply through the graduate school. So the application process is a bit different. But they're both pretty fast. So if you wanted to start classes in the fall, that would definitely be, possible, because we do process both the applications on the undergraduate and the master's level, pretty quickly.
Have any information on all of that would be great that you could email me.
Yes, I'd be happy to email you both programs, and then you can just make the decision of what best fits your needs. The other thing is that what some students kind of have done is they've started off in the licensure program and then decided to roll over into the MAT program. So that's, also a possibility, since those core education classes are similar, that you would take for the licensure only program and the MAT program.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Excellent. Thank you.
So, yeah, that might change. I don't know, maybe Dr. Granger, you could, I know that they were talking about some of those undergraduate EDN courses for residency students. What's going on with that for the fall? I know there was a little bit of a change in that.
I think we're just in kind of beginning conversations about that. I don't know that I have enough information to share at this point. We have a meeting maybe next week, June the 30th, about that. So Kelly, as Dr. Grant said, some of those courses could change a little bit.
Yeah. So,
That's understandable.
yeah. So it's really what fits your needs first, but just going off for both programs, you start taking those education classes. Just to kind of introduce you to the field of education. And since you have an art background, you're a little bit more comfortable with that. So the first classes that you'll take in the fall generally are just those education classes.
And Kelly, I teach one of those intro courses, and there's a field experience component. And if you are currently teaching, you would do your field experience at your school site. It's just a certain number of hours where we have some assessments and some assignments that are attached to those hours. You couldn't do it in your own classroom, but hopefully your building supervisor would allow you to collaborate with another teacher in the building and maybe observe him or her in that particular setting. So we do try to get you kind of thinking about reflection, assessments, videotaping yourself, and then kind of providing some reflection on that in those very early classes.
Does that class that I would sit in on, would it have to be an art class or just any class?
It could be any class because there's probably just one of you in the building.
Yep, just me.
Yeah, yeah. And then as you progress through your courses, you'll be doing field experiences that may be related more in your content. You'd be under the supervision of Dr. Grant or another faculty member as you kind of get into some higher level courses.
Gotcha.
I also want to tell you, Kelly, is that I'm the undergraduate coordinator for art education, and I'm currently serving as the interim graduate coordinator. And what I've been working on this summer is restructuring the MAT program just to make it a little bit more current. The previous person that was in this position was here for 30 years. And we're just trying to update the program. And we're actually having a faculty meeting this coming month where we'll vote on the changes. So the changes, I've kind of revised the whole program. So it will be more current, it will be more up to date. And that should go into effect starting hopefully within the next academic year. But the courses that I'll be teaching on the MAT level starting in the spring will be ones that carry over from the old program into the new program. But I'm revising those courses a little bit to be, again, more updated to the current trends in the field of art education. So there will be some changes, and with the MAT program, you do also have an opportunity to take some studio classes and kind of start to develop your practice. I don't know if you've been working or not, but to kind of delve into some of the studio classes again for the MAT program.
That sounds great.
Yeah, so it's more independent. You kind of develop your work more independently, possibly even one-on-one with the studio faculty member in the art department.
Gotcha. Thank you. That sounds very exciting sorry, I'm stepping over my words here. I'm excited to find out how you've changed or how you will change and the MAT program.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, I mean, and I can do this if you want me to. I'm going to send you the current MAT program, but maybe I'll just give you also, when I send you an email, is like a little preview of how the program is going to change and the proposal that I've put together. It's not set in stone. It still has to go through a number of approvals, but I feel quite certain that there won't be that many changes to the new program.
Great. I really appreciate that.
Okay.
So Kelly, any other questions? I mean, I think that as I think about, you've hit the jackpot today. Having an unanticipated advising session from Dr. Grant, and then hearing from Dr. Lisa Mitchell. Are there any other questions that we might be able to provide answers to?
One other thing
earlier.
One other
Sorry,
thing, Kelly, that I just wanted to let you know is, as I see on the shared screen here about the Praxis II, is what I've done over the course of the summer is I've set up a Canvas course just for Praxis II. And all students who are required to take the Praxis II have access to this Canvas course. And there's a whole bunch of Praxis tests, study materials, links to videos that will help you study for the test. So part of my goal of restructuring the program is to really help students pass Praxis II and get them really ready and comfortable. So I've set up, and you can just use that course, the Praxis II course, on your own time and study it at your leisure. But if you do decide to do the program either on the licensure track or the MAT program, I will give you access to that Canvas course so you can study.
That would be awesome.
Those materials too.
That would be great. I would really like that.
Great. And we've been having a bunch of I've been doing a bunch of Praxis II workshops over the summer. And I think I'm going to do 2 more over the summer, so I'll definitely invite you to those.
Oh, thank you.
And then you can meet, some of your classmates who will be in the program too, both the MAT and the residency program.
Great.
Well,
I think I've learned more in this little session, honestly. I know I have, than in the last year of, starting 2 weeks behind everybody else. I missed the original orientation. There was so much that I missed, and I kind of got just thrown in and was like, here you go. And I think that the only reason that I even survived that long is because I'm older and have life experience and was able to just kind of, go with the flow. I can't imagine being fresh out of school as a beginning teacher and going through something like I went through this year, and still wanting to come back for more, if that makes any sense. Because as far as I'm concerned, most people who get thrown into a situation like I was, and then having the accident and being out of work and then COVID happening, it would really it would really deter a lot of people. It makes it so much harder, and you just learning, like I said, classroom teaching, and then all of a sudden, and nobody's really on the same page with the remote learning, and because it was so new, it threw everybody, for a loop. And so in our school district, personally, we were not made to use a uniform remote learning tool. So, some of the teachers that were my mentors or were close to me were using Google Classroom. So that's what I ended up going with, because the kids I already knew, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders already were accustomed to Google Classroom. But looking back on that now, after reviewing some of the stuff on Canvas, I see that there are so many more tools and so much, such a better way of trying to teach something like art remotely, that I missed out on. But again, it was a learning experience all around for this semester anyway. So
Yeah.
I look forward to the fall, and hopefully, things, whether they be in classroom or still remote, I look forward to a more uniform way of teaching them.
And I think being affiliated with a residency program, being affiliated with someone like Dr. Grant, it sounds like she has some really awesome supports in place to provide students with opportunities for success, would also be a way to help you navigate some of those challenges that we might see again in the fall with remote learning.
I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah.
That's what that's what I've mostly been lacking, is just a support system. As you know, as an art teacher, and you know this, I'm the only one in the building. So,
Yeah.
you know, everybody's like, oh, we're going to team up and you go with your team. So you'd like all the 8th grade teachers are together, all the 7th grade teachers are together, 6th grade together. And then you have like 3 gym teachers. Well, they're a team. The people who teach the computer science, they're a team. And I'm just standing there like, la, 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 la.
Yeah. I
You
get
know,
it.
Yeah, I get
so
that.
that, you know, and as your first year, that, you know, that adds everything to it. Like, okay, so I'm following what you're doing, but I have to try to adapt it without knowing how I'm supposed to adapt it because I don't have that skill level yet. So
Right.
it's quite the guessing game. And it seems as though as I may have guessed right on a lot of things, but I just want to keep trying to better myself. So that's
And
the game plan, I guess.
what's nice about the residency program is that there'll be students who are in your same situation too, that you can kind of share notes and share what works, what doesn't work, and just know that your first couple of years of teaching, even I was teaching in the classroom for 15 years. Even my 15th year, I made so many errors, and teaching is a forgiving profession, and you can always jump back in the next day and make it different. And we'll talk, and you'll have people that you can talk about that with in the program who are going through the same kind of issues and concerns that you will be experiencing as you move into the fall in whatever format that is, which is kind of unsettling, but it's just the way our world is right now.
My a good friend of mine who's been teaching for over 30 years is who I don't want to say she talked me into it, but she did kind of convince me into doing the residency program. Um, her best advice that she could give me was, she told me, your first year, all you're really trying to do is survive. And then
Yeah.
after that, it seems to, she's like, it'll come together a little bit more in your mind, like what you need to do and what what you should be doing and so forth. And I gotta tell you, like, even though the year has been really weird, like I said, with the accident and then the COVID, she was right. It was just about trying to persevere, the high levels of stress from trying to figure out like where I should be, what I should be doing, class wise. That like I said, I couldn't take any classes, so I'm very hard on myself. So not being able to start in any classes, so to speak, because of not being working for those 4 months was stressing me out. And then when I came back, it was the same thing. And then COVID happened and I still couldn't do it. So now it's just good to hear that I can actually get it done in the amount of time that I have left and not have to necessarily, um, you know, overreach myself. So
Yeah.
And hopefully when you start back in the fall, you'll now have a lot of resources that you might be able to draw on that will help make that navigation really positive.
yeah, I agree. And like I said, I really appreciate all your guys' help, and
Yeah.
all this information is incredible.
Well, this is good. And our session is scheduled to end at 10:20. Kelly, to give you a chance to navigate to another session. Dr. Grant, I thank you so much for your willingness to hop in. Kelly, it sounds like you've learned some good things, so I thank you both.
Yeah, and
Thank
Kelly,
you. I really appreciate.
Dr. Granger is going to send me your email address, and I'll put my cell phone number in there. And if you have any other questions, you can feel free to text me or call me. I check my email all the time. So if you send me an email, we can also just set up a time to talk on the phone if you have more questions after I send you both programs, which I'll do in a bit.
Okay, thank you so
Great.
much.
Well,
I
Okay.
really do
thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank
All
you,
right,
Dr.
thank you both.
Fraser.
Kelly, hope to see you back in another session soon.
Okay, thanks for including me.
Thank you, Dr. Grant. Bye-bye.
Bye.